In the last video we talked about roles. We talked about each part having a role, something it does for the psyche, and that with each role there is a positive intent. Now, IFS distinguishes between parts who have a healthy role and parts with an extreme role. What is an extreme role? An extreme role means that a part based on past experiences has taken on behavior, perceptions, feelings that are not accurate, so it's not actually interacting with the world as it is, with how things are going, but that are distorted. So a part with distorted perceptions could see danger in a situation where there is actually no danger and go into an extreme reaction. A part with distorted beliefs about myself or the world, that the world is a dangerous place or that I am weak and incompetent, will react differently to the situation at hand than a part that's healthy and that perceives myself as I really am. A part with distorted feelings, old pain or old anger, will react to the situation with those feelings. And a part that has distorted behavior, maybe that never realized that we're not a kid anymore, will react to a situation with that distorted behavior, with those distorted strategies. Now, parts that are in these extreme roles are usually in those extreme roles still with a positive intent. So they still have a reason why they're doing this behavior, even if it's extreme and potentially very, very harmful in our life. And how that comes, I want to explain in an example. Imagine a little boy at school, and the boy writes a test for the first time in his life. He gets a piece of paper, he's a little bit nervous, and he fills it out, and then hopes he has the right answers. And 3 days later, he gets the test back with a really bad grade, and he feels horrible. And then he goes home, and his parents yell at him for being stupid and not trying hard enough, and well, isn't his education important to him? And that boy feels so ashamed, and then there's a part in him that goes, never again. That part in him comes up and it just really like, nah, I will never again feel like this. So that part takes on an extreme role in that moment where every situation that could ever be a test or something where he's judged, from now on, that's dangerous. And from now on, he will have to work as hard as he can to be good and to get perfect grades in those moments. And that part is so extreme, is so active because it's trying so hard to never have that boy feel like that again. And to never again be in a situation where that boy might have a bad result. Now, many people have parts like that, and often the older they get, the more well-versed those parts get. And the way they often describe it is that when that part is active, when they're in that striving, trying as hard as possible, they almost feel like a robot or an alien. They're often very much in their head. Their body is not really important, and there's like a joylessness, but having to try and work very hard. So that part, because we will stay with this example for a while from now on, will be symbolized with this alien. Those parts that take on a role to protect us, to protect our system from danger that we've experienced in the past, in IFS are called protectors. They are called protectors because they protect us. They try to protect us from bad things that could happen again, because they already did. And they have an extreme role in which they have these distorted perceptions. This part, this alien, might perceive everything that's even remotely close to a test as dangerous. Based on that, there will then be distorted feelings, even if it's just a small thing, but somebody could judge me on it, is super dangerous, and I have to try and work very hard. He will have distorted beliefs about the world where everybody's out to judge him and he has to work as hard as he can to get by. And then, based on all of that, distorted behavior where he's working as hard as he can, even in situations where he might not have to, where much less would be enough. This part, and because of this part, the little boy, will still try and work as hard as possible. Most of the behaviors, feelings, beliefs we have in our life that create problems are coming from these protectors. From these parts in extreme roles who have distorted perceptions, distorted behavior. These are the parts that are creating most of the suffering and most of the problems in our life. And at the same time, it's so important to realize that they do so because they try to fulfill their role. Because they try to protect us, protect our system, when they once said, never again. This will never happen again. I will never feel like this. I will never be in a situation like this again. So they've taken on that burden of trying to protect the whole system, and they do so with incredibly hard work. And often how they do so is by taking over the system, by blending with us. And I think this is one of the most core concepts to understand in IFS, how a part can take over the system, that I want to just get really clear on this. To really understand what it means for a part to take over or to blend with me, I think it's good to understand what it does not mean. For a part to take over and to really be in charge of the system is not like that part becomes active a little bit like, hey, would be a really good idea if you didn't do that, okay? And then there's a thought process about it. Oh, should I do that or not? Does this feeling make sense or not? That's really not how blending works. Blending, or a part taking over, means when that part comes up, you become that part. You start seeing, feeling, perceiving like that part. Let's dive into the example of that guy, maybe later at work, when he's in a test situation again. Instead, maybe imagine it like this. So, the guy is working on the computer. He's working on something for his work. And then suddenly he gets a message from his boss. And the part comes active. And with the part coming active, it's like he becomes the part. Rather than feeling loose like he did before, suddenly the body gets tense. There's fear in the system. The thoughts are 100% sure, oh fuck, this is dangerous. This can be only bad. He's convinced he will lose his job if he doesn't do this task perfectly, so he gets really tense, not sure what to do. He starts seeing the world like that. Things are dangerous suddenly. The beliefs that he will lose his job, that everything will go wrong, are there. The feelings in his body are clear that this is dangerous, and his behavior of working very hard, being super precise with everything, checking everything 10 times, just happened. He has become the part. It's not like the part is there talking to him. He is the part in that moment. Another good example for this is procrastination. It's not like we are actively thinking about procrastinating, but there is a part that has just taken over, and there is not even the question whether I watch the next cute animal video. It just happens automatically. And time goes by, and one thing leads to another, and I just feel like procrastinating. I just do it. There is no second guessing. There is no questioning it. It's just what happens. Another situation that can often happen with protectors, and that many people know, is that when one protector has been very active and has had really taken over the system and we come out of it, there's very often another protector, usually then a critic, coming up. Why did you do that? Why did you just procrastinate for 5 hours watching cat videos? Why did you just work so hard and forget to eat your lunch? You shouldn't have done that. So there is a part that has the intention of not doing that, and it tries to do that by criticizing, but that really doesn't help either. And often these jumps where one part takes over after another is where we can most clearly feel this multiplicity, that there are many parts and that they have different intentions, and that one can just take over after another. I think that's an experience many people know, and that's what IFS tries to really get to with, we have different parts, they have different roles, and especially the protectors, the more extreme part with the distorted perceptions, with the distorted behavior, often take over the system. They blend when they think it's needed, and then we have one part taking over after another. We can have parts fighting with each other, as we had with the chocolate, apple. And that's what the basic IFS model of the mind is. We all have these parts. It's normal. It's also normal to have protectors, to have extreme parts and extreme roles. And that's something we can work with. That's something that IFS therapy is there to work with. But before I get to the therapy part, a little more on the theory to understand how IFS views the system.